Good evening. Welcome to Grand Blanc Township Board meeting for Tuesday, July 8th. If we could all rise for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk Robertson, would you please call the roll?
I would be happy to, Mr. Supervisor. Supervisor Bennett?
Here.
Myself, of course, I'm here. Treasurer Yancho?
Here.
Trustee Brown?
Here.
Trustee Fike?
Here.
Trustee Hugo?
Here.
Trustee White?
Here.
7 members present, a quorum.
Thank you. I see approval of the agenda. I know I haven't been here this past, so I probably need to add a few things to update you guys, right? It's kind of a short meeting.
I'll make it a long one.
With all,
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as printed, okay?
Second.
Ms. Hugo,
Motion by Hugo.
supported by Brown.
Motion by Hugo, supported by Brown on the agenda. Trustee White?
Yes.
Supervisor Bennett?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Yancho?
Yes.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Fike?
Yes.
Trustee Hugo?
yes.
7-0, motion passes.
Thank you. And now we'll entertain any public comment. If anybody would like to speak? Okay. Seeing no one wishes to speak, we'll bring it back here to the board, and I'll entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda, which is approval of the minutes and the treasurer's financial activity.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Mr. Yancho, support by Mr. Fike.
Motion by Yancho, supported by Fike on consent agenda. Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
Trustee Brown.
Yes.
Treasurer Yancho, excuse me. 7-0, motion passes.
Thank you. And now under old business, our strategic plan, our goal is to review enhanced parks and recreation community center is the first item on the agenda. Mr. Lemata?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Tonight, you're going to see this, and you'll see it again on 6B, Agenda Item 6B. This was the last goal, and after your workshop in May, and to select the goals and key objectives that you had for the agenda, for the strategic plan, this will cover 2025 through 2028. This was the last one of those, and it was for enhanced parks and recreation. And I wanted to treat it the same as we had treated the other goals, so it's in here, and then, like I said, the next agenda item will be considered the adoption of the full plan with everything together. Under Enhanced Parks and Recreation and Community Center, these are the items that I pulled from the facilitator's notes of that work session, and included explore opportunities for indoor recreation activities, talked about asset mapping as a strategy for indoor spaces, both within and outside the Grand Blanc Township boundary, so that we can highlight what may be available for the community. And then Grand Blanc schools facilities are getting harder to access, find ways to improve, and we are having a meeting coming up with that, I believe, next week, Wednesday.
17th.
So we are moving forward with to have that conversation with Grand Blanc schools. The enhanced youth and senior programs, the idea, the strategies behind it were presented to you guys through the grand initiative from Parks and Recreation, and that included a number of things about involving from civic education to pulling in 3 different age youth groups, as well as senior center and senior programming as objectives that we'll dive more into as we work through the strategic plan. Establishing neighborhood pocket parks was discussed. One of those is the National Park Standards for access from home within a 10-minute walk. One of the ideas is perhaps taking a look at the land bank parcels as they come up on whether any of those make sense for us to consider as a park. There's some other things that have come up in the meantime that Supervisor Bennett is aware of, but we had a realtor offer us up 7 acres. It's in an office space off zoned area off of Saginaw. down behind what would be the Warwick, very close to Trustee Brown's house, actually, but the property that butts up to Saginaw. It's 7 acres of property, zoned office space that's been available for sale for a long time. He's offered it up to the township free as a donation. We've been working on that. So that is going to come before you in the very near future. We had an environmental assessment study done to make sure there was no pollution of any type on the property. And we have legal counsel looking at it now as far as what that donation looks like. So maybe by pursuing properties in that way, we can work to expand some of our neighborhood park offerings that would be, without putting a lot of funding into it. It's just a matter of creating the space and then either making it a nature area or doing in the long-range plan, turning them into maybe more playgrounds or that type of activity. We also have the opportunity at the Township campus, including the Dork parcel, but as the new buildings come online, we've talked about, is there a way that we can create a walking trail that will loop our campus to give people the opportunity? And then with the old tree business that we were able to acquire that property a couple of years ago, and it's just clear cut, and we just had it land balanced. But what can we do? Can we copy that or include that into some type of walking trail? And that does something on the north end. We can put some picnic tables and grills or make it, that kind of a thing. So with the new campus coming together, I think we just have some golden opportunities to maybe enhance those smaller neighborhood parks to give people truly that national park goal is, are you within 10 minutes walking to some type of a parkland? So I think we've got some golden opportunities there that we can flesh out over the next few years. The senior center improvements, work with the Grand Blanc City partners that we share the senior center with on a vision for the future. And then continue to establish that political action group of board members and city commission members to fight for funding at the county level, because I do think we're not getting enough money back from the senior millage to support. We have an amazingly popular senior center when you look at the number of people who use that thing in programs. And I just think that if we can fight for more funding there, we can expand those opportunities. And of course, finally, the Perry Homestead and nature trails. We've talked with the Historic Society. Matt's been in conversations with them about they want to expand their museum offerings, and would they be able to work something into that Perry Homestead? And then also as part of the long-range visiting session for Parks and Recreation overall, this board needs to really talk about some of those assets, the community assets, and what do they mean for us and what are we going to do? I know at one point a couple of boards ago, we talked about how much money went into the Perry Homestead and nature trails in order to secure it, and then what's gone into it. A lot of it was grant funded, but I don't remember the total anymore, but we were north of $1 million by the time we bought that thing, and with the nature trails and the things we've done to shore up that home. And so we've got a $1 million asset sitting over there without really a long-range vision planned. We should have something, and there was a lot of talk at one point about leasing it out, but that brings a whole new set of a historic house that you're going to now use in different manner. Maybe it does work great for an extension of the Grand Blanc Historical Museum to be able to have permanent displays and have open hours there that go along with their Wednesday hours at the museum that's connected to City Hall. So this board's going to have to kind of come together on that visioning process and talk about where they're going. So I think I've captured from the notes of that session, and if you agree, we can add or take away, but that would be the final goal that we had of I think the 4 goals that were selected for the 2025 through 2028 plan.
Any questions, concerns, thoughts? Mr. Feig?
Regarding the Perry Road Center, we put all that money into it, but it seems like it doesn't get used much. And I almost think that, I know there are negatives to it, that opening it up somehow for rentals, for bridal showers or something like that, then we could get actually a little bit of income coming in out of it. I don't know if it's set up for that or the negatives to that, but I still think it's a good idea to get more people over there, since we have this facility and it just kind of sits there and nobody uses it.
It still would require some considerable investment to bring it up to, I mean, that entire upstairs, I mean, you got plaster falling off the walls, kind of a thing, like it's not done, so either that's got to be blocked off or at least brought up. But I think you guys do need to talk about it. You know, do we want to get into that rental business? It's not huge. It would be for small parties, right? And I mean, it's the kitchen's been updated to be able to, like a warming kitchen to hold, you know, kind of a thing. But the space, I don't know the square footage, it's not big. It would definitely be for some kind of intimate thing. And then you're going to have to decide, do you allow alcohol? You're going to have to expand parking. You know, are we all ADA compliant with the doors? Those will have to maybe be changed down. I mean, there's some other factors that come in, but I think it does need to go into kind of a long-range visiting session about what do we want to do? What are we going to keep it for? The last thing we want to do is get rid of it, although sometimes I think Matt would love that idea, along with everybody else in Parks and Recreation, because they're not sure what it's for, right? But it takes some resources. But you do not want to divest yourselves of park property, because we don't want to, that will limit us from getting any grants in the future, and we do not want to divest ourselves of any parkland.
Well, part of it too, I think the outside area, you know, we have a path or a trail that we could expand on, and the Iron Bell Trail will come right by there. It could be used for a trailhead as well, right there on the property, which, you know, would be a great place for people to park, you know, get on the trail, what have you, have some restroom facilities, what have you. But I think, you know, the indoor, the building itself, one of the uses that you mentioned, Mr. Limito, was, you know, the Historical Society having a permanent place to have their displays and what have you, I think would be a great opportunity for them and for us too, to tell the history of Grand Blanc and Grand Blanc Township. As far as the rental, there are some challenges. I think, you know, the amount that you take in versus the amount to keep it clean, what have you. You know, we put $1 million into it, and then somebody with a box of crayons could probably do $3,000 worth of damage in half an hour. But the bottom line is, I think you're right. I think some visioning things and, you know, exploring further, having the Historic Society maybe use it, but also maybe as a trailhead and expanding or improving the trails that are on the property already. I know at one time we even talked about a small amphitheater, you know, or something like that for outdoor, smaller type, you know, events, not big concerts you can dance to, but maybe some local artists, whatever, those kind of things. But it's a great property that we probably need to flesh out what we envision, even if we don't have the money for it yet, but we can aim towards it.
How many of the current board members have been inside of the Perry House before? Okay, so three of you haven't. We could arrange to meet out there before a meeting, you know, at some point, just so you get a look at it. If you've never walked the nature trails out there, they're pretty cool. Rough in the spring because they hold a lot of water, a lot of clay. But, you know, eventually if we were to, you know, maybe put some boardwalks out there, wood chips and some things, we could raise it up. But the nature trails, it's just a loop. We need a crossing over the creek that goes through. But they're beautiful trails. It's short loop.
Yeah. Mr. Kimmer, there was a group that, I don't know if it was the Grand Blanc Arts Council or somebody that was looking at doing art out there. Was that?
There was, yeah, there was a group that.
Are they still considering that, or?
It's a possibility to rent the space, just whatever.
Okay. They were looking at holding art classes out there, which I thought would be an excellent, you know, plus it's a community group that we want to support.
But how much do we spend on that a year?
It's minimal. I mean, other than mowing it and keeping the lights and heat on and, you
Not a
know,
whole lot.
pest control and keeping the raccoons out of the basement. Yeah, maybe 20,000 a year.
The Perry Days or whatever they have out there a couple times a year.
But we've owned it for 20 plus years, and we never really put a vision together. Like, what is it? What's it for? What do we own it for? I'm glad we saved it from the wrecking ball back in the day, and former supervisor Mickey Hoffman was very instrumental in saving that, and that was definitely her baby. And when I got here, we were still sinking a lot of CDBG funds and trying to do some things. And they were very proud that like the wooden beams downstairs have been carbon dated to 300 years old or something. And so there's some significance to it. And it was like the first white settlers' home in Genesee County, or back then. I mean, there's some significance to the building, to the family that put it together. But I do think we've just never really had. We own it, and now what? And I think we should. It behooves us to be able to say to the community, it's an asset. It's part of our Parks and Recreation assets, and this is what we're going to do with it. And here's our plan. So that we can at least work it. We don't want to keep throwing more money at it if we don't have a plan for it. But again, it's not like we can sell the property, because again, it will come back to haunt you forever for trying to get DNR grants.
One interesting park that I've been to in Northville is the site of the former state hospital. It was actually for, I believe, tuberculosis. It was a sanitarium. But it's a grounds that actually, they have storyboards that actually tell the story of, what this place was back when it was open. And it, as well as being a walking path, it tells the history of things there. And it's very, very interesting. But, something similar to that property as far as the story of Grand Blanc Township being told around the pathway and the house, what that is, right now, you have to rely on somebody being there to tell you that. But if there was something as far as storyboards, maybe something to explore, but might be worth a field trip down to Northville to check out. I'm sure there's other similar type things, but it kind of tells the story, and part of that goes into placemaking, right? I mean, you want people to know a little bit about where they live, and it adds to the pride that they have in the community if they know that, hey, this is one of the first places settled in Genesee County. I mean, who knew that, right? I mean, a lot of people don't. So might be something we explore too, is tying in the history of our area with that. So find a way to tell the story. Mike?
Would that fit into an area for a pocket park or a neighborhood park? There seems to be a lot of land area, grass area, lawn there that we could possibly utilize. And if it's along the Iron Bell Trail, that would be, I think, a great place. You mentioned parking as a trailhead or something. Mm-hmm. And so people could,
Right.
if there was a water fountain and some picnic tables and a grill, it might serve multiple uses.
Well, one of the things too to keep in mind, I don't know, where the city is with the Jewel Golf Course. I know that they would like to make it into a park, and I think they're still talking about it, but something to consider too, that wouldn't want to replicate, what they do right, out a mile less or less away, but could serve. Obviously, there's people that live closer to Perry than down there that could use it, but yeah. Good idea. So we'll figure out a date. We can do some visioning and do some more research on what we do with it and what our long-range plan would be.
Perfect.
Okay, moving on to our strategic plan for 25 through 28. We all participated in this on Saturday, April 5th, and quite a lengthy list of accomplishments here. We should be able to get through all of them in at least a year.
Is a motion in order to adopt the strategic plan, Mr. Supervisor?
I'm sure.
I'll make that motion.
Support by Ms. Hugo. Want to discuss anything on here? I know there was a question, actually, I don't know, did you get an answer to your question, Mr. Fike?
I did not.
Okay.
One of the items says road from the back of EMS to McCandlish. More
East Middle.
connectivity of roads.
East Middle School.
East Middle School. Okay.
From East Middle School.
Well, I'm forgetting, where would that be?
It would be on the old the two golf courses, I believe, but Genesee Hills would be part of the route out to McCandless, so that the school buses don't have to make those big loops around to get to all the housing on McCandless, and they don't need to go out to out to Saginaw Street to make a left-hand turn to go out onto the southbound Saginaw Street. You know, we have a lot of congestion with buses and other traffic that I think there's an opportunity there and I think we ought to investigate it.
It'd be a new road, you're saying?
It would be a new road, which Grand Blanc hasn't had a new road in at least 150 years.
Well, we got the Dordt Highway Extension.
That's, we have that, and we have two freeways.
And that was 13 million for that. For the, I think it was 13 million
Correct.
And,
for the Dordt Extension.
and the one thing that gets in the way of making new roads is when we don't set aside property for the future to make roads. So looking at the future of Grand Blanc in a very long term, I think it would behoove us to investigate that and see if there's a way to set that land aside.
So if you look at a map, somehow they connect in the back there, or are there houses in the middle?
The school property goes all the way, probably a half mile from Perry Road south, where there are ball fields back there.
Okay.
Do we have any authority as a township to actually build a road? Aren't they owned by the county?
Yeah, I've actually,
On this, if we're not, we can't do anything. I mean, it's a good idea, but I mean, we don't have any authority to do any of this, so I don't know why we're gonna make it a priority.
is it, so, are you talking about Genesee Road? Is that,
No,
because I have asked the county if there was any plans to
Right.
expand that one. They
That's-
said absolutely not.
that would be another goal, but
I think, in terms of goal, it would be, if it was something we wanted to do, we would have to lobby, as you said, Mr. White, the road commission to do that.
in answer to Mr. White, you're absolutely right. I agree 100%, but we also didn't have the authority to create the Dordt Highway Extension.
Oh, that was a state thing?
Right.
Dave was in the legislature then, he'll tell you that.
Right.
Well, Dave would like to see something built along.
I didn't mean that I didn't mean any tone there. I'm
Well,
sorry.
without going through each item on here, is there anything overall?
Where you're pulling that from the board vision tour, this is really, the board was asked during that work session, like, what would a visitor see if they came back in 2028, if they left the township now and came back? And again, it's one of those like, hey, this is, you throw it all out there, like, what would that vision be? And that was picked up in the notes that the facilitator captured for you guys. This is what will happen by 2028. You'll notice in the actual goals that were selected in the key objectives and strategies, like that didn't get picked up in there because it's just one of those things where I don't know how much we could influence that as staff or a board. But it's certainly in a lot of the visioning that we do with the county metropolitan planning, and then with the road commission, who knows? I mean, it's kind of like all the roundabouts that are going in, those things weren't really envisioned at one point either, and now you're seeing it happen. Things could change, but all you can really do is voice your opinion, like, hey, what can you do about traffic from East Middle School to help drain some of it off? Whether they act on it or not probably isn't going to be in any one of your goals, key objectives, or strategies, but.
My thought is, we've spent a day going through this. It probably, we're all in agreement. These are things we want to look at for the most part. There might be some individual things where individuals, maybe I don't agree with everyone on a particular one, but we'll explore it, right? What I would like to see us do maybe is figure out a way to figure out how we communicate once I assume that we're going to prove this, but to communicate this with the public over a period of time so that, I run into people that are in the front office here that are moving here, from wherever. And it'd be really nice just to have something that would say, what our township strategic plan is. Where is the township going and what do we see? Because I really think it helps, we gain allies to our effort to get these things done if we kind of share that vision with everybody. Goes along with, I think one of the things I'd like to see us I've talked about having one, but have a state of the township annually where we talk about where we are as a township with accomplishing things and our growth and what have you, but also incorporate the strategic plan into that and what we're heading towards. We're kind of telling our message right now with the Parks and Rec millage of what we would like to see with that, and people are asking, hey, what are you guys gonna do if that passes? And, well, here's what we're gonna do, but I think an overall explanation of where's the township headed, the businesses we're bringing here are we're trying to bring technology-based jobs here because those are the jobs of the future. We're trying to find places for our kids that they don't have to move out of state to find a job. But tell the deeper story as to why these things are important in our strategic plan. But I think figuring that out is something we could put our heads together on too.
Once you guys, if you adopt this, then this is what is our roadmap. You're saying that we're going to accomplish for the next 4 years. If you look being a strategic governed board like you have been, and you look at the accomplishments that you're able to do by putting a strategic plan together for the last 4 years, this is just a continuation of that. This does get published on our website, so if somebody's looking for our strategic plan, this is what's on there. We should have copies printed out. We should have them available in the lobby for somebody to grab. Should be as part of the new residence packet. Like, this is what your board has chosen for things that they're going to accomplish during this next term in office. And so when we adopt this thing, you're really looking at the goals that you set forth, under community engagement, infrastructure, community development, and enhanced parks and recreation. A lot of them are pretty wide-ranging, but it's really saying that these are the things that we think are important, and that's our vision for the community as your elected officials. Also, you combine this with that community survey that we did last year, and it's one of the things, like, people are asking, like, why are you going for 1 mil for a Parks and Recreation millage? Well, because you told us to when we did the community survey. Those results came back and said 57% of the people would support a 1 mil for enhanced Parks and Recreation. So putting it on a ballot doesn't necessarily mean that all 7 of you support that concept, but it is saying that all 7 of you are responsive to what the community responded back to us in that survey. And those kind of things go hand in hand. We took a community survey, we asked people, they shared their opinions with us. Then you guys took those opinions, you formed it into this document. You're going to publish it, you're going to put it out on the website, and we need to talk about it. We'll continue to talk about it during meetings. What have we accomplished? What are we working on? Well, in community engagement, here's what we've done with the EMS response, or here's what we've done, with engaging the county board of commissioners to help us with enhanced millage dollars for our senior operations. So you've all probably been part of an organization that went through the strategic planning process, adopted a strategic plan, and then threw it on the shelf and never moved it again. And somebody says, do you have a strategic plan? And you say, absolutely, it's right here somewhere. Blow the dust off, here you go. You've never done that here. Since you've adopted strategic planning, you've continued to ask staff to keep moving forward. What have you done? Report back on where we've moved. We got to keep that same excitement if we want to accomplish the things on this list. So once you say, yes, we've adopted it and this is what it is, that doesn't mean these are the only things on the list. Internal, external factors change. The environment changes. The economy changes. Our revenue can change going through the last big recession, and some of these things drop off because we have to preserve revenue to provide essential services. But having the plan and having the vision is important, right? Mm-hmm. So I think you're right, Supervisor Bennett. It's about, when you see me put it together, you're going to get a document that is a lot of words on a white piece of paper, right? Because I'm not big about putting the pictures in and really making it look good, like what should be included in here, and make it much more of a document. Maybe this thing should be 20 pages long, and it includes some of the vision, includes a picture of the parks, includes, some of the other things, so that they understand why this is important to us. And we can do that, and the one that we, prepare to hand out. We just need people who are much more creative than I am.
Put it in a slideshow type thing and have it on, as a video kind of thing, which might be less costly too. So, no.
Two things.
So, yes, Mr. Brown.
Yeah, I had 2 thoughts real quick. So first, on the subject of trying to kind of show the residents what we're doing, we talked to a consultant that was going to, or, possibly put together videos of what we envision for bicentennial. I think doing the same thing would be helpful for the strategic plan. Like, what will we want Perry to look like once we have that idea? What would, one of the notes in here is a community center. What would that look like, as an example? How many jobs we brought, how many new residents we're having. I'd love to see something like that, like on our website, or on the Facebook. I think those would be some good ideas. And then the second thing I had, a vision board is kind of a similar thing, might be a little bit more cost efficient, where you can just take, kind of pictures and show this is what we want to accomplish this year and so forth. And we could keep that here. That'd probably be like $100 project, max. And then the other comment I had was related to the community center. There was talk of repurposing a school or a church. Do we have those properties identified, or is that just, kind of an idea?
I don't know that there are any school or churches that are looking at moving out. I think pretty much all are occupied. I think the thought was that if anything were to ever happen in terms of us, and this would be down the road a couple of years, but if we were to build an office building, the possibility of converting this building into a community center. No, that was one of the thoughts that came out, but it'd be nice to get some money from the county from our senior millage where we could expand our senior offerings and a community center together.
Yeah.
But yeah, that, I don't know if there are any schools or churches right now that would be available.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that on the list. I just asked because I don't remember that.
Oh, the schools are actually expanding, right?
I do have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Ms. Hugo.
There's a church that is on Hill Road, Hill and Dort, that's
Yes.
vacant. That's owned by someone, correct?
Yes, Mr. Iannacci
Okay. Some resident had
owns
asked.
the home next door to it as well,
Oh,
right
okay.
on the corner.
Real tiny church.
Yes, right, the home and the church right there on the corner of Hill and Dort.
We have a motion and a support on this, on this item, Mr. Supervisor. Would you like me to do a little
Sure.
rapid roll call?
Go ahead.
All right. On item 6B, Treasurer Yancho,
Yes.
Trustee Hugo,
Yes.
Trustee White,
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett,
Yes.
Trustee Brown.
Yes.
7-0, motion passes.
Thank you. All right, so we'll move forward on the strategic plan.
Yeah, next steps will be, and probably at your next meeting, we'll talk about forming those committees that are in here, captures part of the key objectives. So the 7 of you, as you start to think about which of these causes you like to champion, you may want to think about some of the committees that we talked about where we're going to be able to at least get our voices heard, maybe better at the County Board of Commissioners. And we'll start that process, in 2 weeks at the next meeting, like, hey, let's at least get the committees formed, and then you guys can take it from there as far as the direction you're going.
Very good. Under new business, the board will consider a motion to approve Resolution 2518 for a charitable gaming license for Fish of Grand Blanc. And I think we're all familiar with the Fish organization here in Grand Blanc that provides mainly food, all types of food for families here in Grand Blanc that are in need. Very good organization, and they own a building a few doors down from us here.
Okay.
So they need approval for the resolution in order to get a charitable gaming license, if somebody cares to make that. I'll make the motion if somebody wants to.
Supervisor Bennett makes the motion on item
Support by Ms.
7A,
Hugo.
supported by Hugo.
Yes.
Supported by Hugo. Trustee Brown.
Yes.
Trustee Yancho.
Yes. I'm not a trustee, but I'll say yes.
Treasurer Yancho, excuse me. Forgive me.
Promoted him.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
7-0, motion passes.
Thank you. I think
This gaming license is so they can do raffles at the Fill the Field, so they have a big on July 19th. So July 19th, get out there, drop off a donation to Fish. It'll be out at Bicentennial Park, and support their efforts to fill that food bank back up. And again, there's raffles that you can participate in while you're out there.
Okay.
Mr. Bennett.
All right.
Mr. Bennett.
Yes, Mr. Yancho?
In working, in the past, I've worked with the food banks, Eastern Michigan Food Bank, and they have always told me that they could use, that money donated to them would go further than canned goods donated to them. Can we donate money to Fish at that event?
That's a good Fish question, but I don't know. I'm assuming you could. There will be representatives out there, I'm assuming, from Fish. So I think, that's kind of the whole thing, is they want the donation of the food. They want to fill the field up with food items so they can restore the food pantry. And then the raffles, I'm assuming, are cash raffles, buy tickets and put them in for the raffles. So you can probably also donate at the same time.
One of the things, I was out there last year, I think they basically tried to line the field with food, all the baselines with food, and then from there fill the infield. So hopefully we build each year on that event, right? Future agenda items, I think we've got our marching orders on that. We're gonna be looking at the strategic plan in the committee's next meeting, Mr. Lemata.
I think that'll be the form of the committee, so we'll continue to operate under the strategic plan that was just adopted. Like I said, we'll get it posted up on your website, and then we will have your committees, your volunteer committees, kind of put together for next 2 weeks.
Okay, with that, Planning Commission, anything, Ms. Hugo?
Our next meeting is Thursday. Next Thursday, sorry. Next Thursday.
Mr. White, anything? No. Mr. Fike?
Nope.
Mr. Yancho?
No.
Brown, anything?
Yeah, I was looking forward to working with the police committee, so definitely want to put my name in the hat for that.
Yep, we've got you down for that.
Oh, fantastic.
I'm not sure, we'll make sure your name's next to that.
Oh, okay, sorry, I missed
We
that.
haven't had any meetings, so you haven't missed anything, but
That's good.
I'm sure we will be sometime. So. Treasurer Yancho, anything?
No.
Clerk Robertson?
Mr. Supervisor, as of today's date, we have mailed out 9,346 absentee ballots for the August election. Right now, we have 451 that have been returned, which is a small number, but not surprising this far out, because we do have yet another month before the actual election, but all is well in clerk's office.
Okay. Mr. Lemata?
I got nothing.
Okay, well then I think motion to adjourn is in order.
Okay.
Motion.
Okay, motion by Mr. Brown.
Motion by Brown, supported by
All those in favor, say aye.
Yancho. We are adjourned at 6:38 PM.
Did I beat?